Once upon a time, in the bustling, ever noisy city of Lagos, in a neighborhood known far and wide as AJEGUNLE, a place where dreams and hardship lived side by side, there lived a man named Julius. Julius was about 35 years old, a man marked by quiet strength and weary eyes, the kind of man who worked so hard. The line on his face told the story better than words ever could. Julius was married to a woman named Elizabeth, a kind-hearted, gentle soul who had stood by him through thick and thin. They had been married for 2 years, living together in small weathered room in AJEGUNLE's crowded slum. The room was tiny, barely enough space for bed and a small table, yet it was home. The place where love blossomed despite challenges. Life in AJEGUNLE was no fairy tale. The street buzzed with activity with dawn till dusk. But for Julius and Elizabeth, every day was a struggle. Julius woke early each morning before the sun, his hands calloused from hard labor. He worked every job he could find, carrying heavy load at the bustling market, lifting bricks at construction sites, anything that could put food on their table. His pride and hope rested on the minibus he drove across Lagos, ferrying passengers through traffic jams, rains, and scorching heat. That bus was his ticket to a better life, his means to provide for Elizabeth and one day their family. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. One afternoon, as Julius drove his minibus through the crowded street, a careless driver ran a red light. The crash was sudden. Violet metal crumpled, glass shattered, screams filled the air. Julius' minibus was destroyed beyond repair. His livelihood, his dream, reduced to twisted steel. He walked away from the accident that day, his heart heavy with fear and uncertainty. Without the bus, life became harder than ever. The money dried up, food became scarce, but Elizabeth, ever strong, refused to give up. Each morning, before the first light, she rose at 6 a.m. to fry akara, the crispy golden bean cake loved by everyone in the neighborhood. For hours, she stood by her small stove, frying akara one by one, selling to neighbors, street vendors, anyone who would buy. It was a humble business, but it was their lifeline. 3 years passed in this way, filled with struggle, but also with quiet hope. And then, one morning, Elizabeth came to Julius with tears in her eyes. "Julius," she said softly, "I am pregnant." Julius' face lit up like morning sun. "We are going to have a baby," he whispered. For the first time in many years, hope blossomed fully in their hearts. Julius worked even harder now, dreaming of a better future for their child. He found odd jobs during the day, and at night he sat beside Elizabeth, feeling the baby kick inside her womb. Neighbors smiled at the couples, wishing them blessings. Sometimes Julius would stop and look at Elizabeth, thinking how life had tested them, but still they endured. The month passed and Elizabeth's belly grew round. One night, the moment arrived. Elizabeth went into labor. Julius was at bricklaying site, working late into the night. Then the phone rang. "Elizabeth," he whispered, hearing her shaking voice. "I am in labor. Please come quickly." Julius dropped his stool and ran home. He helped Elizabeth into her old tricycle and raced towards the nearest general hospital, the only place they could afford. At the hospital, Elizabeth gave birth to a bouncy baby boy, tiny, fragile, full of promise. Julius held his son in trembling hand and named him Miracle. Joy filled the room, the kind of joy only a new life can bring. But soon, the doctor approached Julius with a grave expression. "There are complications," the doctor said. "We need a deposit of 500,000 naira to begin life-saving treatment for Elizabeth." Julius' heart stopped. 500,000 naira? 500,000 naira was a fortune he did not have. He begged the doctor to start treatment, promising to return with the money, but the hospital rule were unyielding. They refused. Julius ran out, tears streaming. He begged neighbors, friend, anyone who could help. Doors closed in his face. After hours of frantic searching, he could raise only 100,000 naira. He returned to the hospital breathless, but Elizabeth was gone. Julius sat by Elizabeth's side in silence, grief crushing his soul. He was alone now with only Miracle, a tiny boy who depended on him. Julius took on every job he could find. From dawn to dusk, he worked tirelessly to provide for Miracle, but the weight of responsibility pressed heavy on his shoulder. When Miracle turned 2, he fell ill. Julius rushed him to the hospital. Once again, the doctor demanded a large sum, 300,000 naira, before the treatment could begin. Julius pleaded, his voice cracking, but the hospital refused. Frustrations and fear boiled inside Julius. If anything happened to my son, all of you will pay, he shouted, desperation echoing through the sterile halls. Desperation led to dangerous decision. Feeling hopeless, Julius left the hospital. Outside, he met Gaza, a feared local gang leader. Gaza had tried to recruit Julius for years, but Julius had always refused. What do you want now? Gaza sneered. My son is dying, Julius whispered. I need money to save him. Gaza laughed coldly. I won't help you. One of Gaza's boys stepped forward, quietly offering a gun. Use this, he said. Make them treat your son. Julius, trembling, took the gun and returned to the hospital. He locked the door behind him and pointed the weapon at everyone inside. He ordered patients and staff to lie down, collected their phones and warned them not to call the police. Through tears, he begged, I just want my son to live. Someone inside called the police. Soon, officers surrounded the building, pleading with Julius to surrender peacefully. After a tense moment, Julius lowered the gun. Miracle received the treatment he needed. The government stepped in, paying the hospital bill. In court, Julius admitted his actions, though his love for Miracle was clear. The law could not ignore what had happened. His story stirred city conscience, sparking debate about poverty, desperation, and the failure in healthcare that forced ordinary people to make impossible choices. Julius' journey is a painful reminder. Behind every headline, there are real people, real struggles, and real love. And sometimes love can push even the gentle soul to the edge.